Hello, everybody. I am ecstatic to be here today with Marla DiCarlo, co-founder of Raincatcher. They are a company that helps entrepreneurs buy and sell remarkable businesses across the United States. And this is our third series, our third call, if you will, of a 12-part series. And we're excited today to be talking about the other 4 value drivers. So last month we covered those that have a lot to do with growth and money. So growth potential, monopoly control, financial performance, and recurring revenue. And we'll make sure to link back to that video so that you can listen to that one if you didn't get to catch it. And today's focus is going to be on 4 other factors that you can use as a business owner to drive up your business's value. And those are hub and spoke, the Switzerland structure, valuation teeter totter, and customer satisfaction. So before we jump into those, Marla, I think it would be fun again for the dames and others who see this video to just know, what is it that makes you so passionate about helping entrepreneurs buy and sell their businesses?
Yeah, thanks, Megan. What makes me so passionate is they're my people. It's where I feel the most connected. You know, we always throw this around, but it's true. They're so resilient, and it takes a certain individual to have the guts to start a business, and that's just talking my language. I'm one of those risk takers, and I just love, and what I love about what I get to do at Raincatcher is see these incredible companies and these ideas that they come up with. It's amazing. I never take it for granted, but right. I talk about, man, they don't know what they don't know. And so that's what that's what I'm doing with you here today.
Yeah.
Is talking to those business owners around, great, you've taken that first step, you've started a company, but now let's have some fun. Let's make sure that you're maximizing all of your hard work and you're not leaving money on the table. Or, the other thing I was thinking of earlier today is how many business owners go into that business without a plan. And it makes sense because usually it's just, oh, I'm really good at this. I think I would like to do this on my own. Right. And, but what happens is when you do build something, like I'm feeling that, we're up to 27 employees right now. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, okay, we're really building something. But I've had a plan. My business partner and I have a plan from day one. I don't think a lot of business owners do that. It's almost like they become successful in spite of themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think that there's, that has to do a lot with growth and really making sure that your personal growth and professional growth are aligned. Because for myself, what I can tell you is when I was a marketing coach and that was my business, right? I hated it when people would ask me the question, where do you see yourself in your business in 5 to 10 years?
Did you?
I hated it because I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a business that allowed me to have a vision that went out far enough that I felt like I could actually achieve. I felt like it was a lot of, struggle and strife and trying to do things according to other people's rules. And, just the fact of the matter was, for me at that time, I was in the wrong business model. Yeah. So I think that, in my situation, I couldn't create that plan. And it wasn't until I started the Dames and then actually closed my marketing business and started focusing fully on the Dames. At that point, that's when I felt this ability to really carry out my plan. And, I'd had a plan for the Dames because it is a scalable business. It is a business that allows me to, it's not under my name like my marketing business was. It's a business that allows me to step out of all of the doing roles and do the things that we know make a good business in terms of the ability to sell it. So, and it doesn't necessarily happen for business owners in the first few years. Like you don't really, a lot of times, I'm not saying that you're on the wrong path like I was or the wrong path, but a lot of times the future isn't clear when you're first starting out in business. for me,
Yes.
it took me years to just figure out what the hell being a business owner
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. I can
know?
relate to that. I mean, I remember my first business. I had no idea. It
Yeah.
was all the mistakes that, it's like, if anything, okay, that was a nice trial run.
Yeah. Yes,
Now let's get serious.
exactly.
You said something really important just now. So one of the things you said, and this came up actually during one of our Dames Q&A, I think
Yeah.
after the training, is you had your marketing company set up under your name.
Mhm.
And so that's a great segue into
Yes.
one of the things we're going to talk about, which is hub and spoke.
Awesome.
And I think
Perfect.
that comes up a lot, right? So one of the Dames members had asked, what do I do if I have my company set up under my name? And is that okay? Is that bad? Is that good? And like, there's really no right answer there. I think it's my opinion, and I think you agreed with how I answered that, which is, it really depends on what you're wanting to do with your business, where some business owners just run a business to pay for their bills and have fun doing what they love.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
But if you want to sell it and you want to maximize, you see that business moving forward with that legacy, and you want that to happen, you want employees and you want to scale and you want to grow, then the owner dependency, and we call that hub and spoke in the value builder language, that is really important. So coming back then to what one of the dames asked and what you did, if you have that under your name, if you have your business as your name, it might be difficult to reduce that owner dependency. That's what you found, right?
That's absolutely. And I knew at that time that, for me, I was running two businesses simultaneously, with two completely separate sets of standard operating procedures, some of the team members that overlapped, but extremely different, even sides of my brain that I used on a regular basis. And I exhausted myself. So for me, it was about realizing this business over here is not where my passion is. It's not where I'm going to scale and be able to have a legacy and be able to sell that business or exit at some point in any way. When I was really a marketing coach and was branding as my name, I was like, I know this isn't a forever thing for me. It's going to last for as long as it's going to last, but I'm not going to sell this business. I didn't even know how I could possibly sell that business anyways. So let's talk about that though. So what is the concept of, of hub and spoke? And
yes,
I didn't want to forget to ask the question that, a lot of our business owners that are looking at this, they probably already know that a customer or employee dependency can undermine the value of their business. But have they ever stopped to think of how one of their suppliers could also lead to a valuation drop? So I wanted to start there.
awesome. So what we're talking about with that value driver is the Switzerland structure.
Oh, shoot.
No, because I'm glad, I think this is good because this is just we decided, listen, the reason we're here is because we care about small business owners.
Right. Yep.
And this is us just talking, like, this is what Megan and I do, Dames.
Yes.
When we're just like off on the side, not, recording, this is our conversations.
Yeah.
Because it's real. And that's, I think one of the things that I also want to just bring up quickly is I want the dames to understand that I'm a business owner just like any of you. I've had a different path, so I've done different things, and there's certain areas I'm really strong and certain areas, I learned. But I'm glad we're doing this because that hub and spoke was something that was important because of something you said. But let's also talk about the Switzerland structure, because that's equally as important. And that's a dependency in a different way to your question. So I think most business owners understand that hub and spoke, having owner dependency is a problem, but they don't think about the Switzerland structure. That is a dependency on customer, suppliers, or a key employee. And and then I think also coming back to your question, I think most owners understand if you're heavily reliant on a customer, that could be a problem. So you got to be careful there,
Right.
and if you're heavily reliant on a key employee and you don't have what's kind of in the business world known as the golden handcuffs or
Mhm.
something, you don't have a culture that really you're like, gosh, why are they here? I hope they stay. I've,
Right.
I've owned a company like that before,
Right.
but I think the thing they don't think about is the supplier dependency,
Mm.
because during COVID, so I'm going to take us back to 2020. Never in my lifetime, Megan, have I ever seen supplier dependency hurt more businesses. And I mean, I've been a businesswoman for over 30 years, and I've been in small business now. Oh my gosh, I'm going to age myself. I mean, it's over 20 years I've been in small business. Never in my lifetime, because what happened is a lot of these companies in all different industries, okay, I'm not going to get too political here, so this is not political, Dames. Okay, I'm just going to say it the way I see it. We have stopped relying on staying within our borders as small business owners, and I understand why. I'm not shaming anybody for doing that.
Right.
It's oftentimes cheaper to outsource that.
It's a cost
right?
thing. Yeah.
It makes tons of sense. And the same with like creating, getting your cost of goods, whatever that is, the supplies that you need to put together your products and services. It's cheaper to outsource that. What happened though during COVID is when when the government forced us to handle our business a certain way, and then also when the borders just couldn't keep up with what was going on, that hurt a lot of people, and that has now been a trickling effect. It hasn't gone away. And so what we're seeing is really extreme supply chain issues that this world has never in my lifetime, I've never experienced in my generation. This is the first time it's like, what do you mean I can't get something from China in 2 days? What? Right?
Yeah. Wasn't that just drop shipped to me through Amazon? Like, we don't understand how it actually.
Where is China? No.
Yeah. Isn't it just next door?
Because it's felt like that.
Right.
One of the things I talk about oftentimes is Amazon. I'm actually a big fan of Amazon, because I think that as far as how they've created their business model, they have been very smart. And that's a great example of an area where they've kind of got this monopoly around, being able to ship overnight. And, they got a fulfillment center that's different than any other model. Well, now I come back to the way we used to operate pre-COVID, even ordering from China. It was just kind of, it wasn't a big deal to be able to get those products and services in a way that I don't think it was a part of our decision making. I know it was not a part of the majority of business owners' risk plan.
Right.
And that's where supplier dependency comes in and is so important.
So hold on one second.
Yeah.
So the hub and spoke is more so to do with owner dependency.
Yes.
And the Switzerland structure is to do fully with vendor supplier dependency. Is that correct?
Customer, employee, and supplier. Exactly. Because it's neutral. How do you create a business that's neutral? It's not overly reliant on a customer. It's not overly reliant on an employee. It's not overly reliant on a supplier.
Got it. Hence the Switzerland. Aha. Okay.
Yeah.
See? The more that I talk with you about these things, the bells go off in the head, and I understand.
Well, and I think we just had 20 days that went, I get it, Marla.
Exactly. So here's an example. My dad had a business that he purchased. Gosh, this is like, I was still in high school. So I'm going to carry the 25 years ago. And it was a magazine display rack manufacturing company. How sexy is that, right?
That's cool.
And right after September 11th, his main supplier went out of business and his main customer went out of business, both. And so he had not even been in that business long enough to really think about that, and had been in publishing for 25 years prior to that. So that was a big lesson for him that he had to learn a really hard way, making sure that your suppliers and your customers are diversified enough. And I don't know if it's taking us off track to say this, but as a marketing professional, what I found is that there's a sweet spot, because if we have too broad of a target market, then it's really hard for our marketing and our sales to work. But if we have way too tight, then we create this problem of not having, like, probably of the, Switzerland structure, having too much dependency upon too few clients.
Yes. And your example of your dad is, okay, so think about everything he went through, not being able to plan for that. Sounds like he had just started. So it wasn't that he ignored it. He just hadn't had a chance to put it in a risk plan. That's what happened to a ton, the majority actually, of business owners that do utilize services overseas in other countries. That's what happened to them overnight. Same thing.
It was the same thing for my dad. It was overnight because that's
9/11.
So, and so he had to fold that business and sell it at a very big short. And it was a big lesson. So, okay. So mitigation of these things. Obvious mitigation is make sure that you have diversification of your suppliers, that you have thought through all the factors of where your suppliers are, what the access is to the supplies that you need, and what are those potentials for
plan B
chain up, right?
A plan B.
Yeah. Okay. Having a plan B.
That's right.
Knowing what that is so that you can deploy the parachute if you need to.
Yep.
And then making sure that hub and spoke is really removing yourself as the owner from all of the roles, as many of the roles as possible. Right. So this is one that I think dames as a whole I think we can relate to the most, because there are so many of us that are smaller business owners, and we don't have maybe suppliers that we're dealing with because we're not product-based businesses, we're service-based. Yes. So it is still about looking at, okay, what is my plan for growth, and how do I maintain, what is the word? Maintain as much of my profit as possible and decrease my expenses as much as possible. But at the same time, not putting myself in all those doing roles. Is there anything else that they should think about as that hub and spoke concept?
Yeah, I think the other thing that business owners tend to overlook is evaluating what roles they do serve in the company. And first off, is that a good use of their strengths? Mm-hmm. Are they really good in those roles? Right. And then the other thing is, by investing a little bit of money, would you actually be more profitable and probably happier? Totally. Right. Absolutely. Salespeople, as a business owner, if you're not concentrated on sales, at least half of your day, you're doing something wrong. Like there's no reason to sit here and talk if we don't have sales. That's what it's about. Mm-hmm. So if you have a company where you can bring in a salesperson or a business development person, or maybe that is your strength, look at then maybe what about the operations of the business? Megan, I'll be vulnerable. So in Raincatcher, I've always prided myself with the fact that I feel like I'm really good at process. But then when we hired our business operations, Tim Rinaldi, oh my gosh, I make fun that this guy lives and breathes and sleeps. I'm pretty sure he wakes up in the morning thinking, how do I make breakfast more efficient? It's what he does. So yeah.
And we think that we have to stay in a certain role. And it's usually when we have that belief or that thought that we need to question it.
Yes. I agree.
So let's talk about the other two. We have valuation teeter totter and customer satisfaction. Will you give us the top level on valuation teeter totter?
Yeah, the valuation teeter totter is pretty simple. It's that as your business grows, it's pretty typical as it grows for cash flow to go down. And so we think of that like the teeter totter. You're always doing this like balancing act, trying to get right here. And so the reason why that's important when you're going to sell a business is because a buyer is writing two checks. They're writing a check for the assets of your business. They're also writing a check for the daily operations. Can your business, take care of itself? Are you generating free cash flow? And that's something I think business owners are aware of, because I don't know one person that doesn't think of cash flow, but is it taking care of itself? Are you going beyond just breaking even? I used to have conversations as a CFO. That was the topic of conversation. They were in the red and they just wanted to get to break even. I'm like, okay, I'm going to present something. How about if you actually have money left over? Like you have extra money, and wouldn't that be lovely? So it's just
Revolutionary.
yeah. And then the last thing I think ties in with that cash flow that I feel like business owners don't see the correlation there, is customer satisfaction. If you don't have a business where your customers are not just happy, right, with working with you, I mean, they're your raving fans. And I think business owners would be very surprised. I was in a previous company, how many clients are happy with what you're doing, but they're not going around like spreading the word. And so that's something you need to be aware of. The easiest thing to do to find out more about, what are they raving fans? Are they telling their friends and family? Do a net promoter score. It's one question. It's literally one question you send out, and it gives you all the answers that you need. You can add to it, but start there.
And that question is,
oh my gosh, you're going to put me on the spot. Hang on.
Would you recommend us to your friends?
I got it.
Isn't it, would you recommend us to your friends?
Well, actually, yes, that is the basis of it, but I think it goes a little bit further than that. Okay. Oh, here we go. Oh no, I don't have it right in front of me.
I did that to you. Look at that.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Well,
I
guess
should
what?
know it by the top of my head, what the question is. But yes, it's around, would you recommend us to a friend and family? But it's more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's the gist of it though. And everybody would probably need to word that differently for their business anyways. But
yeah,
yes, it's understanding that. Oh, go
I got
ahead.
it. Can I share it?
Yes.
Okay, here it is. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or colleague? That's the one question. And that gives back a predictive, answer that you're able to then make improvements. It really does make a difference.
Yeah, because then if you can say 80% of our customers would refer us or, refer us to their friends or colleagues, that's amazing. And if you can ask those questions in a numerical sense, then you can use those percentages.
And there's companies they can sign up with, and they're very reasonable. I mean, nowadays, it used to be you had to go through like a marketing company to get that type of setup, right? But now you can get a software and it can do all of it for you. If you have a CRM or customer list, it's really easy to implement.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Marla, let's tell them what they've won today. Just kidding. Let's tell them where they can get more from you guys. So really the journey begins for anyone with starting the conversation or getting a valuation. So you can click the link below this video that we will share that gives you a free valuation to help you understand where you stand today so that Raincatcher can then help you get where you want to be tomorrow. And so that's one step. Another step would be they can reach out to you, Marla, and you can either have a conversation with them or set them up with someone who they could have a conversation with, because it's never too early to start this conversation. Is that right? If they're thinking of selling their business in 2 years, 5 years, 20 years, it is never too early to start the conversation.
And even if they don't think they want to sell, where I'm still willing, our company, all of our staff are still willing to help them because our mission is bigger than just selling companies. So we'd be happy to talk to you.
And chances are you have a way with what you have put together at Raincatcher of helping them make their lives better, their businesses better, have better, more satisfied customers, et cetera, even if, like you said, they're not going to sell their business.
Yeah, I hope they enjoy what they do. I've met too many business owners that have lost that spark, or they're just not enjoying, and there's a way to get back there. So yeah, all of the above and then some.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Marla, for this. Next month, ladies, join us back as we talk about the most critical factor in achieving your goals, which may surprise you. So, see you next time. Thanks, Marla.